All right, let's get right into it. We're not talking about some fuzzy theory today. This is the blueprint, the exact 10-step roadmap people have used from absolutely nothing to building serious, lasting wealth. So lean in because every single step is critical. So I want to ask you something right off the bat. If it all vanished tomorrow, every dollar, every contact, gone, what's your first move? No, really think about it. Most people freeze. They have no plan. They just react. We're going to change that for you, starting right now. Look, before we even touch a single dollar bill, we have to build the foundation. This is the internal work. And trust me on this, if you try to skip this phase, everything you build later on will absolutely crumble. The very first enemy you have to conquer is what I call survival mode. It's that constant knot in your stomach. That feeling that your brain is so consumed with just getting through the day, rent, bills, your next meal, that you have zero mental space left to plan, to dream, to create. You're just putting out fires. Think about someone like David Goggins. He had to claw his way out of a brutal, impoverished childhood by making a conscious decision to stop reacting to his life and start commanding it. So, step one is your mission. Escape survival mode. This is non-negotiable. It's about creating just enough stability so your brain can switch out of that constant fight or flight panic. Only then can you actually lift your head up and start focusing on the bigger picture. Now, here's a trap that catches so many people, and this slide illustrates it perfectly. They get out of survival mode only to fall right into victim mode. J.K. Rowling was a single mom on welfare. That was her reality. She could have just waited, hoped someone would discover her, complained about what she didn't have. But instead, she took ownership. She didn't have an office, so she wrote in cafes. She didn't have connections, so she relentlessly sent that manuscript out. That's the shift from victim to owner. And that is the heart of step two, taking total 100% responsibility. This is the moment you stop being a passenger in your own life and you get behind the driver's seat. You stop reacting to the world and you start creating your own. You know, so many ambitious people I work with, they have a wish, not a vision. I want to be successful. What does that even mean? It's fog. Now look at Damon John. He didn't just wish. He had a crystal clear vision. Build FUBU into a $100 million brand that represented urban culture. See the difference? That's a target your brain can actually lock onto and start working towards. So the crucial takeaway for step three is this. Your vision has to have detail. It needs sharp edges. Clarity is your greatest weapon. When you can define exactly what you want with that kind of precision, your brain has no other choice but to start solving the puzzle of how to get you there. Okay, mindset is locked in. Now we get to phase two. This is where you build the actual engine that turns that powerful vision of yours into real, actual income. Let's be brutally honest, a vision by itself is worthless. It's a daydream. Chris Gardner, the man whose story was told in The Pursuit of Happiness, he understood this in his bones. Just think about it for a second. While he was homeless, sleeping in public bathrooms with his little boy, he was relentlessly studying finance manuals. He was building the skill before the opportunity even existed. And that is step four. Learn a valuable, high-income skill. Passion isn't a plan. You need a strategy. You have to pick a skill, could be coding, sales, digital marketing, whatever, and then you obsess over it. You master it until you are so good that the market simply cannot ignore you. Now you're starting to earn. And for those of you getting those first substantial paychecks, you need to listen to this. Making money is only half the game. When Shaquille O'Neal got his first huge NBA check, he burned through it on cars and jewelry. That shock was his wake-up call. Today, he's worth over $400 million, and it's not just from basketball. It's from financial discipline. Which brings us to step five, master your money. This isn't about being cheap. It's about being strategic. It means building systems, automatic transfers, investment accounts, maybe even a financial team that protect your wealth from your own worst impulses, because we all have them. And this little story perfectly illustrates the next huge leap. As a teenager, Warren Buffett didn't trade his time for an hourly wage. No, he put a pinball machine in a local barbershop. While he was sitting in class, that machine was out there working for him, earning quarters. Which is step six, and it's a huge milestone. You have to escape the time for money trap. You see, as long as your income is tied directly to the hours you put in, there's a hard ceiling on how much you can ever earn. The goal is to build a machine, a system that generates income for you, especially when you're not actively working. Okay, so you have an income engine. Phase 3 is where we get into multiplication. You're going to shift your focus from just earning and saving to strategic, long-term asset growth. So here's the big mindset shift for step 7. You have to stop seeing cash as something to just hoard in a bank account. Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad taught us this. The real game is converting those dollars into seeds. Income-producing assets like real estate, businesses, stocks, things that grow all on their own. But just buying assets isn't enough. You need patience. For years, Wall Street screamed at Jeff Bezos to show a profit. He completely ignored them. Why? Because he was pouring every single dollar back into building warehouses, logistics, infrastructure. He wasn't playing for next quarter. He was playing for the next century. And that is step 8. You have to stop thinking in terms of weekends and start thinking in decades. Our brains are wired for that quick win, which is exactly why most people panic and sell at the worst possible time. Real wealth is built by those who have the discipline to hold on through the cycles, letting that magical thing called compound growth do its work over years and years. You've built the wealth. This final phase, though, it's not about money anymore. It's about impact. It's about who you become and what you build that will outlast you. Just look at the career of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He achieved his massive goal of becoming the world's greatest bodybuilder, and then what? He didn't stop. He built an entirely new identity as a Hollywood megastar, and then he did it again, becoming the governor of California. He kept evolving. Step 9 is to upgrade your identity. You simply can't solve million-dollar problems with a minimum wage mindset. You have to ask yourself, who is the version of me that actually deserves the wealth I'm building? The money is just a container. You have to grow into the person who's big enough to hold it. And that brings us to the final step, step 10, build your legacy. Andrew Carnegie came to this country with nothing and built one of the greatest industrial empires in history. But he believed that dying a rich man was a disgrace. So he gave away 90% of his fortune, funding thousands of libraries and universities that are still changing lives more than a century later. Because true wealth, in the end, isn't what you have, it's the impact you leave behind. So, there you have it, the roadmap. From escaping survival mode all the way to building a lasting legacy. The path is clear. The only question left is, what are you going to build?